Old Great Bulgaria. Great Bulgaria was a Bulgar state known as Patria Onoguria and was term used by Byzantine historians to refer to the Bulgar state centered on Phanagoria north of the Caucasus Mountains between the Dniester and Lower Volga. In the 6th century, after the defeat of Utigur Bulgars by Western Turks, it constituted the westernmost part of the Turkic Khaganate. In the 7th century, during the reign of Kubrat, it expanded west to include the lands of the Avars while centered in Poltava before the Kotharig Khan took control in the Volga-to-Caucasus region, and subjugated Batbayan in Poltava. At the same time, a new wave of Avars from Carpathia evicted Kubrat's governors south from Sirmium, while the Battle of Ongal led to the establishment of a new Bulgarian state along the Danube under Kubrat's son Asparukh. Kubrat. According to the nominalia of the Bulgarian Khans, Kubrat was from the royal clan Dulo and a rightful heir to the Bulgar throne. H. Zortenberg, while translating John Nikiu chronicles from Old Ethiopian, intentionally replaced the name Kietrades to Kubrat. Since then, the historiography erroneously holds a misconception that Kubrat was raised and baptized by the Byzantine court, while the John's character Kietrades has no real-life connection to the ruler of the Great Bulgaria Kubrat. Kubrat quickly managed to overthrow Avar domination, extending Onoga influence among the Bulgarians in Pannonia in what subsequently became known as Hungary. Ultimately, however, although there is no evidence that the Utigurs were independent of the Onogas until after Kubrat's empire disintegrated, it is believed he seceded from the Onogas when they became entangled in dynastic wars. After Kubrat's burial in Malaparesh-Chapina, the Khazars, who had triumphed in the collapse of Onoguria, subjugated Kubrat's eldest son and heir Batbayan, forcing his other sons to flee north up the Volga and west into the Balkans and Italy establishment. Between 630 and 635, Khan Kubrat managed to unite the two main Bulgar tribes of Utigur and Utigur under a single rule, creating a powerful confederation which is referred to by the medieval authors as the Old Great Bulgaria and also known as Onoguria Bulgar Empire. Some scholars assume that it also included among its subjects the defeated Avars and stretched as far west as the Pannonian Plain. It is presumed that his capital was the ancient city of Phanagoria on the Taman Peninsula. Kubrat's grave was discovered in 1912 at Peresh-Chapina, Ukraine. Disintegration and successor states. The events that unfolded following Kubrat's death are described by the Byzantine patriarch Nicephorus in the times of Emperor Constantine IV. He narrates Kubrat died and Batbayan, the eldest of his 5 sons, was left in charge of the state. Under strong Khazar pressure, Kubrat's other sons disregarded the father's advice to stay together in order to resist the enemies and soon departed, taking their own tribes. Old Great Bulgaria disintegrated under Khazar's pressure in 668. Volga Bulgars Kotharig, the leader of the Utigurs, left for Middle Volga, where he later established Volga Bulgaria at the Volga-Kama confluence, a state which was to become very prosperous. The Volga Bulgars of the Silver Bulgars, as they were called at the time, converted voluntarily to Islam in the 9th century and managed to preserve their national identity well into the 13th century, by repelling the first Mongol attacks in 1223. However, they were eventually subdued. The capital Bulgar city became one of major cities of the Golden Horde of the Mongols, and the Bulgars mixed with the Tatars. The citizens of the modern Russian republics of Tatarstan and Chuvashia are considered to be descendants of those Bulgars. Bulgars in Vojvodina and Macedonia. Kuba ruled in Sirmium over a mixed group of peoples as a vassal of the Avar Khagan. After a revolt he led his people to Macedonia. There he had settled in the region of Carimacia and made an unsuccessful attempt to capture the city of Thessaloniki. After this, he disappears from history and his people were later consolidated into the Bulgarian Empire by Khan Krum. Bulgars in southern Italy. Other Bulgars, circa 662, led by their Duke Alzako, sought refuge from the Avars with the Lombards and requested land from the Lombard king Grimoald I of Benevento in exchange for military service, for an uncertain reason, initially staying near Ravenna and later moving further south. Grimoald sent Alcic and his followers to his son Romuald in Benevento, and they were then granted by Romuald land northeast of Naples in the spacious but up till that time deserted towns of Cipino, Bovianum, and Isernia, in the present-day region of Molise in the Apennines. Instead of the title Duke, Alcic was granted the Lombard title of Gastal. Paul the Deacon in his Historia Langobardorum, writing after the year 787, says that in his time Bulgars still inhabited the area, and that even though they speak Latin, they have not forsaken the use of their own tongue. Excavations in the necropolis of Vicente Campocchiaro near Boiano, which dates from the 7th century, found among 130 burials that there were 13 human burials alongside horses, along with artifacts of Germanic and Avar origin. Horse burials are characteristic of Central Asian horse nomads, and therefore these burials are clearly those of the Bulgar settlers of Molise and Campania. Onoguria. Batbayan's Black Sea Bulgars remained in the Ukrainian homeland, Onoguria, but were subdued by the relatives, the Khazarigs. Some believe that the present-day Bulgars are the descendants of the Batbayan horde, even though they call themselves Malkars and speak a Turkic language of the Kipchak type. But in most Turkic languages the sound B became M. First Bulgarian Empire. After the state disintegrated under Khazar attack in 668, Asparukh parted ways with his brothers and led some of the Bulgars to seek a secure home. He was followed by 30,000 to 50,000 Bulgars. After the Battle of Ongal, Asparukh founded the First Bulgarian Empire, which was officially recognized as an independent state by the Byzantine Empire in 681. Etymology of Onoguria. Variations of the name include Onoguria, Onoguri, Onoguri, Ongher, Ongur, Onghuri, Onguri, Onguria, Onguria, Onogunjur, Onogunjur, Onokunda, etc. There are numerous speculations about the origin of the Onoga name. In modern language of the Caucasian Avars, Onoguria could mean everlasting, from Uno, ever, and Guro, lasting. Some derive it from the Turkic words Onungur, which in combination may mean 10 arrows, i.e., the Western Turkic Khaganate, which was a federation of 10 tribes. Another explanation states that because in Turkic languages the sound Z turns to R when you go westwards, and therefore the ethnonym of the Avars Turks would sound as Zoga Oga in the west. Then Onoga would mean 10 clans of Avars. In support to this view is fact that the Bulgars are listed among the 10 sons of Togarma in the Khazar correspondence. Others relate Onogur to Onogvndur, a Bulgar people mentioned in the early Armenian sources.